through universal health care, Medicare for all, that if you need to see a doctor, you can see a doctor when you're sick, before you're sick. And so that you don't get sick, we want to guarantee that you have access to fresh and healthy food, clean drinking water, the time and space to exercise and move your body and spend those hours with your family. That's what makes life worth living in the first place, right? We don't lack for resources. We're the wealthiest, most powerful country on the face of the planet. We only have lacked for the political will to get this done. So here's another idea. What if, and this is going to sound crazy to you, but we treated everyone with the dignity and respect that they deserve as human beings. And when we say we are for human rights, we're for everyone's human rights. When that transgender American is being targeted, we stand by that transgender American. They're not disposable, they're not expedient, they're not inconvenient, they're a fucking human being and treat them like one, right? And women, how about this one? Every woman makes her own decisions about her own body, her own future, her own health care. And you know what? I know that in Texas we can make that happen, because in Texas we made that happen. In '73, abortion was just as illegal in this state as it is today. But we didn't wait for someone to ride to our rescue. 3 very young Texas women, attorney Linda Coffey, Sarah Weddington, 26 years old, Jane Roe, prevail upon an all-male United States Supreme Court to render the Roe versus Wade decision, which stood the test of time for 49 years. If we did it once, we can do it again. Message to Donald Trump: do not fuck with the women of Texas, because we don't know what they are. And imagine taking these human rights on the road around the world, no longer being complicit in the bombing and the starving and the slaughtering of tens of thousands of innocent children in Gaza, and instead using the awesome power of this country to work with other nations around the world to finally establish a sovereign, independent state for the Palestinian people, to work for their safety, the Israeli safety, the safety of everyone in that region. No longer spending your tax dollars on bombs that are killing innocent people and flattening hospitals and schools, but sowing peace and reaping prosperity, not just for that region, but for all of us. And then how about this? What if we brought that same thinking back home? And we no longer have to worry about these mass plainclothes agents driving up in front of our house or to our school or to our church or to a hospital, which is what they're doing today, and rounding up our hardworking fellow Americans. They might be here undocumented, they might be here documented, they may be U.S. citizens born on this soil. We don't know, because there's no due process, there are no constitutional protections. This is being done in our name right now, and it must end. And in order to stop it, we imagine a future where we rededicate ourselves to the Constitution, to ideas like due process. And then this one, and I know that Joaquin and Mark agree with me because they've been absolute champions for this. Check this out. You know, Democrats, present company excluded, have talked an awful good game on immigration for as long as I have been listening. You know, if you just keep voting for us, once we get in power, comprehensive immigration reform. Well, we won power in 2008, the White House, the House, and the Senate. We won power in 2020, the White House, the House, and the Senate. The American people were watching because we had promised them what we would do with that power, and we absolutely failed to live up to the expectation that we set. So next time we win power, we're gonna drive that car like we stole it. We're gonna legalize every dreamer, every dreamer's parents, every hardworking American doing backbreaking work that makes this country so goddamn great in the first place, even greater as U.S. citizens. Don't let them fool you. They're gonna try to tell you that we're on different pages about this, that we don't support the law. That's crazy. We all agree we should know who's coming into this country. We all agree that we should be able to protect our families from violent criminals, whether they were born in Fort Worth or Ciudad Juarez or anywhere. I'm on the same page with that. But don't let them tell you that immigrants are taking anything from us. Immigrants are giving far more to this country than they can ever draw down in the entirety of their lives. this. Imagine a Democratic Party that actually fights for these things. That doesn't submit, that doesn't bend the knee, that doesn't roll over, that doesn't give up before the fight has even begun. I want the National Democratic Party to look at the Democrats here in Tarrant County, the Democrats here on this stage. This is what a fight looks like. Are you all ready to fight? Will you stay in this fight for as long as it takes? When you go home and you talk to your family members or your friends at work on Monday or at school and they doubt that this is possible, because you're still fired up from today. You say, hey, we can do this, we're gonna fight, we're gonna overcome these bastards. I don't care that we're up against the most powerful man in the world, who is funded by the wealthiest people on the planet. I don't care that he has the Supreme Court, the Senate, the House, the governor's mansions, the legislatures across this country. I don't care, because check this out. You tell them this. I wanna remind you who we are, what we're made of, and where we come from. For the 249 years of America, we have come up against some mighty odds, and we've overcome them at each and every turn. We defeated the British Empire, the most powerful force on the planet at the time, to secure our independence and freedom so that we would never be ruled by kings, and we're not about to start now, right? We defeated the armies of the Confederacy. 300,000 young Union men sacrificed their lives. They're 17, 18, 19 years old to establish that never again could one American own another. And it wasn't even 80 years later that men from this very community landed on those beaches in Normandy in June of 1944, again willing to give their lives to defeat fascism halfway across the world, to protect this democracy here at home. And then the generation that followed them, right here in Fort Worth and cities throughout the country, peacefully and non-violently, went up against the elected and armed thugs of Jim Crow, and they won full civil rights and political rights for every single one of us, regardless of the color of our skin, of our gender, of our country of national origin, of any difference between us. We are the lucky heirs of all of that service, all of that struggle, all of that sacrifice that has come before. And what we do with this great inheritance, that is going to define us in the eyes of history. And it is going to determine what is possible for this country going forward. We cannot be found wanting at this moment of truth, and we must not allow the moment to pass without a fight. So I ask you to do all you can with what you have, wherever you are, today and every single day going forward. I promise you, if we will do that, we will overcome this challenge as well. We will win this country back, and we will make it one worth saving going forward. Thank you, Tarrant County, for